Well, hello and thanks again for joining me. You know, today I'm out here along this riverbank and I'm going to go through some settings for some Nightscape images I shot a little while ago. But you know, last night it was absolutely freezing cold out here. It was -1 degree Celsius. And yet this morning, it's about 10:30 in the morning, beautiful sunny day. This is what we get here in Australia. We have these frosty winter nights, but then we have these beautiful sunny days following that. So I'm really looking forward to walking down the river, showing you some of these shots. But before we do that, I do have to address the elephant in the room. So I know a lot of you became quite attached to my car. Well, as you can see, I've upgraded. The Falcon has moved on, and I'm now driving this Subaru Outback. And it's a fantastic car, a little bit smaller, but it's going to get me around to some places the Falcon couldn't. This is 4-wheel drive, and yeah, I love it so far. It's been really good. So for those who love the old Falcon, well, it's done a fantastic job, and I totally recommend the Falcon. But here we are, I've joined the ranks of Subaru. Well, here we are at the absolutely beautiful Campaspe River, and this particular location is known as Rocky Crossing for obvious reasons. It's full of rocks and there's rapids along here. Now, where I live, it's not very common to have rivers with fast running water like this. They're generally bigger open spaces. So this is a really unique location, and I want to show you some of the compositions that I had here when I shot here a little while ago. Now, my mindset when I first approach a scene like this is to work out firstly where my open sky is. Now, the time when I shot this, the Milky Way core was coming down in the western or the southwestern sky. And at this particular location, that is facing upstream for the river here. So immediately I have to look for compositions somewhere where I can capture the rocks, the running water, some of these trees, but also the open sky. So that's my first task when I first arrive here. Now, when coming into a location such as this, safety is a major concern, especially at night time. There are rocks everywhere, so there's so many tripping hazards, and there are logs and trees and rushes and everything else. Now, everybody knows in Australia there's plenty of snakes around. At this time of year in winter, not so much, although I have seen black snakes sunbathing on these rocks on a sunny winter's day like this, so they do come out. But in the spring or summer, definitely snake territory. So you have to be really careful around rocks like this. My suggestion is to make a lot of noise and they will disappear before you even get there. But just walking around here at night time, everything takes so much longer just simply because there are so many tripping hazards here. Now, of course, one of the other things that you will notice immediately when you go anywhere near running water is just how noisy it is. And of course, this takes away one of our prime senses. When we're here, especially at night time, all you can hear is this water. Now, you wouldn't know if there was anything else happening around you. So once again, I advise people to be really cautious around water. You don't know what else is happening, and you have to make sure that you've got good light, good torch, and really good footwear, because these rocks get really slippery at night time, especially when there's been a bit of dew like there was last night. But once you overcome those hurdles and those safety issues, it is an absolutely fabulous place to be under the stars. Okay, so the next thing that we have to consider when shooting at a location such as this is how am I going to get my tripod and camera into a position where I can shoot and capture the running water and the rocks. Now, and also to get the direction I was after. So I decided whilst I was here that I was going to be shooting predominantly in a south to a southwest aspect ratio. And I wanted to shoot both a standard Milky Way shot with the water, and then I wanted to do a star trail as well with the trails over the top of the water. So this is how I did that. And so as you can see there, this is basically the direction I was facing. My tripod low down to the ground on those rocks facing upstream, and my first shot was to capture the Milky Way core, which at that stage was setting down, low down over the top of the river and those trees that you can see in the background. Now to get this shot, I had to shoot two side by side to create a mini panorama. So I created a two-shot panorama, which is a little bit unusual, just two images side by side, just to get that extra width, and that's what I was looking for. The settings for those two shots were that I was using my Nikon D750 with the 14-24 f2.8 lens. I had it set on its widest angle of 14 millimeters. Now, I also had it set at f2.8 aperture. I decided on an ISO of 2500 and the shutter speed 30 seconds. Now, if you follow my work, you would know that I rarely, if ever, go over 20 seconds from my 14mm shots. Because I took this shot a while ago, I was experimenting a little bit with shutter speeds. So for this one, it was 30 seconds. So what I did, I took two shots side by side just to get that little bit extra width. But I was really happy with the end result. What I did was light paint both of those shots, just a little bit of light painting on these rocks here. Just to bring that up. Now, if you've ever done light painting on running water, or any water for that matter, it's not as easy as it looks, because the light actually reflects off the water, and sometimes you can't see the water. But in this case, because there were rapids, and they're white-capped rapids, that actually reflected not too bad, and I think this image looks okay. So once I'd finished that composition, I decided I wanted to shoot star trails, and particularly I wanted to silhouette these gum trees over the other side of the riverbank there, because I love the shape and I love the look of those. So how did I go about doing that? So I used my D750, again with the 14mm f2.8, and I set the aperture at f2.8. From there, I decided my ISO would be 640, and I shot 3-minute exposures, and I was going to shoot 10 3-minute exposures, which gave me a total amount of 30 minutes. Now, for about 3 or 4 of those exposures, I moved around to different areas on the rocks here carefully and did some light painting on the rocks and the water, and a little bit over the other side there on that riverbank. Reason being, I wanted to get the angles, and I knew that if I tried to do that in a shorter exposure time, I'd struggle a little bit just getting around here. So I used the plenty of time that I had in those 3-minute exposures, and I'm absolutely delighted with how that shot has come up. Now, quite a lot of people have made the comment that that particular image looks like a painting rather than a photograph. And I actually say to them, well, to be honest, it is a photograph, but it is a painting as well, because it's been light painted. And that's the thing, especially around these rocks, it gets that really artistic look about it. And that's one of the things I love about the whole concept of light painting. And so that's pretty much it. It took me quite a while, as you can imagine, to get around these rocks to be able to shoot just those 2 images. In fact, the whole time I was here, just 2 images. But, you know, I had a lot of fun, really enjoyed being here on the river. It's an absolutely beautiful place, as you can see now during the daylight. At night time, when you have the time just to sit and ponder the stars overhead, it looks absolutely magic. Anyway, I'll look forward to seeing you guys on my next adventure, and I'm looking forward to that. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks a lot.